And I think it's that kind of like wriggle hyper kid where I sort of like my brain starts to go like a bit rat mode and I start getting a bit wriggly and antsy and then it's like kicking my foot. Um,
It just means blood sugar's getting a bit low, really.
Probably. Or I haven't had enough
Well,
coffee.
this is almost the most exciting thing I've ever done. Is that a bad admission to make?
No, I feel exactly the same. This is I like ever since I
Ooh,
started doing it, I'm like we're live, baby. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, it's so cool.
And I've even got background music going. Do you want to hear a bit of it? Hang on.
Yeah. All right. Beats by Dad.
Oh, wait on. It's gone off. You talk amongst yourself for a moment.
No, I was going to get you to MC while I while I set up my internet. That's all right. That's fine. So yeah, look. Next step on the Twitter live stream. I got Dad coming in from Queensland. Might even get him to take us on a tour of the yard.
Oh, okay. Now,
Yeah, sure.
you
I'm gonna
feel
try and
like,
I gotta set something up and go to the bathroom. So give me 2 seconds.
and then I'll take a 5 minute tour.
Yeah. I've gone into full dado vision. You've got full.
Hi, hi, some more.
Oh, hang on. How are we gonna do this? All right. I'm gonna give you. I'm opening the screen up. Dado vision. All right. Hang on. All right. Take us away, Dad.
All right. Now, hello everybody. No one who's listening, watching. Uh, if you're just listening, then this tour is going to be a bit tricky. But I'll try and run
No,
a commentary as well.
everyone's watching. If anything, more people are watching than
Oh,
listening.
okay. If you're in, you're seeing. Okay. Now I'm going to turn this thing around, and then just point it at places and go. We ready now? You're all sitting still. You've got your coffee. Here we go. And nice and slow. Keep it horizontal.
No. Go the other way around.
Here's some,
Flip it to landscape.
oh, okay.
Yeah, because then it's full width.
We good?
Yeah, that's better.
All right. Yep. Now, what you're vaguely looking at here is my audio visual setup, and what you would be hearing if it was up on the big speakers is that. But it's faded out for reasons just momentarily. This is because we're in North Queensland, beautiful Townsville. This is my indoor-outdoor lounge room. You'll notice things because of the coronavirus. You'll notice things like things which are antiseptic. So we do have friends around, my darling Mrs. and I.
The laws are different in
But
Queensland. I do not condone social contact in Victoria.
oh, we have no contact, but we each have our own sterilised table, and we keep that far apart. And the rules are: touch nothing, touch no one, and keep your bloody distance. That's the North Queensland way. So in this
Sorry, can we get that
indoor-outdoor,
one again for the people in the back?
oh, touch no one, keep your distance, touch nothing. That's the North Queensland COVID-19 rule set. So in this indoor-outdoor lounge room of mine, in this backyard, opposite this beautiful little nature park, oh wait, on Drainage Park, it's my lovely trailer. So we've got all this space, Castle Hill for them who know, somewhere up there. Got all this space here, lovely North Queensland, Australia. Why has Australia had so few COVID-19 cases? Because we're smart enough to listen to knowledge and act on it, but also we've got so much space. We don't have to get all crammed up together.
Hey, Dad, can you
Oh,
MC? Or you're killing it. Levels are coming through great. I just need to use the bathroom, so I'm gonna vacate.
yeah, bye. Let me know when you're back. Okay, so in this indoor-outdoor lounge room with its own audio-visual system, which normally works, and sink and kettle and all of the electrics, like Sam normally does in the course of his life, have musical stuff, so that there's things like in here, musical gear stuff for those who recognise it. And just the beauty of me nearly in my 70th year, being able to pot around and make the space that I like. I needed something to hold that up that wouldn't, because you need it so that when there's going to be a cyclone, you can just dismantle all this within half a day. So I need something to hold the tarp up, and a mop is good. So we've got a solar operated fridge because it's North Queensland, solar panels. It's currently running on 14.2 volts. Beautiful. All works, and this is portable for when we're traveling. Solar panels there, another one way up there. If I had my proper camera, this would possibly be better. And then from here, I've been working on a path, which I finished a couple of days ago. These are the things that we do, and like many people across the world, become more re-involved with gardening. So I've got kale, tomatoes, garden beds, and more junk area, because North Queensland, you've got to have junk areas, and various things to do with music and public address systems, PA systems, and a typical North Queensland house, big and rambly with a great big mango tree. So that's the basics of the backyard. Bit of lawn, bit of a patch of bananas. You've got to have your spade nearby, because always doing something with the spring onions or the mandarins or the fledgling pineapple bush or the lemon tree. Did I say bananas? Oh, that's right. And the universal as COVID-19 is the wheelie bin, or as some cultures call it, the Otto bin. Bananas, lady fingers. And so that's more or less the backyard, a random backyard of someone who built a bush house, admittedly, in North Queensland, coastal. And that's most of the excitement. A bit of ginger. Of course, you need your coffee beans. Yeah, coffee beans, you heard me. So close up, I had my camera, but know what was happening. There, coffee beans growing there. They're like an edge effect on the edge understory. Exactly what we've got there. Very nice. And more gardening. And spring onions. Lovely, have them every day. And ready for some tomatoes. And what else can I say? An indoor-outdoor shed.
Thanks, babe.
A canoe. And it just goes on and on. And I've just come back from a swim and the dentist and the hardware. So at the hardware, I picked up some chicken manure, because we haven't got any chooks, but like most Australian ground, the ground here is very hungry. So we've got to keep fertilising it. So for those of you who are watching who are in the COVID-19 thing and can and are doing some more gardening, remember to make sure you've got good dirt, good sun, good water. Most times it'll work well.
I'm back, Dad, and we're back. Thank you so much for our guest host.
I've done just the backyard tour, so there's plenty more scope for other tours on other occasions if they should ever arise. But back to you now, the host. My fabulous son, Samuel Tate Gowdy, is going to continue on with his great development of ER, VR, PR, and away you go. There you are.
Oh, thanks, Dad. I took your advice. Got a bit of an insulin boost. Can't beat an apple.
All right, good.
This segment brought to you by Apples. Get them at the store.
and frothy coffee. Get them from some multinational rat bag.
I actually also got a coffee. Ultimate combination. All right, so up next, this is going to be my pull a rabbit out of a hat moment. I couldn't quite pull it off last week. There's 3 or 4 points in the chain that can fail. First, I'm just going to check one
Now,
thing.
I'm not seeing your screen a whole lot.
Tap it. When in doubt, give it a tap.
Okay, that's good news to know. Now it says nothing much.
So you should see just like a random.
I can see chat now. Oh, wait on that.
Yep. No, that's it. It's like I'm in a little bit in the corner, and then there's all my desktop.
Yes. Okay, and then it's going hooray.
That's it. We've done it. All right, cool. So I'm going to try and open up the world, the 3D world of this person that I'm doing the lessons of. And it's actually a garden as well. So serendipity, parlez-vous. It's going to, ideally, if this works, I'll take you on a VR garden tour, but it might not work. So let's see how.
I'm not seeing your screen too much yet.
What do you see? You should just see like a desktop.
No, I'm seeing a bit of a test now. Something's changed. That's starting to look like something.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's all just my desktop. So you're basically
Now
just
I
seeing
can
my.
see it.
You're just seeing my
Now.
PC screen. So I haven't got anything up yet. Next, I'll put a little please waiting. Hang on, I got a little. Oh, here we go. No, go back to that.
Back in time.
I put up a coffee. I had yeah. You can create all these presets for the camera setups, and then you switch between them live. It's yeah. Okay. This looks pretty promising. Now, where this broke down last time was the audio stuff. We have. Oh, can you actually go blah blah blah? Give me some audio.
Blah blah blah.
All right, there we go. Cool.
Testing,
Yeah.
and then beautiful day. It's about the 1st of May.
If you want to keep. Okay. What's the deal with the garden?
Your garden.
Your garden.
virtual
I'm going to get this set up, so I'm just giving you a little prompter, it's an unusual looking garden. Do you know what I mean? Talk me through it. Talk me through gardens in general.
My garden. Well, gardens in general. Gardens fulfill about 7 basic human functions. One's to provide personal, private, outdoor space. That's a private garden. And then you've got public gardens, which provide outdoor space that's non-threatening, normally soothing. Gardens can provide shade, shelter. They provide habitat for various insects, birds, and my definition of a good garden in Australia anyway is it's got lots of lizards. It means it's a live garden, and it's also got lots of worms. It means it's a good fertile, good ground garden. And for most of human history, it's been top of our list has always been, where's some food? Want some food? And we're now used to getting supermarkets and all that. But right through since the last ice age, people have been growing stuff in increasing quantities on a large scale and for their own private use earlier and ongoing. So gardens are often also to produce food for households. So they provide a place to entertain, to relax, to be in nature, but they also provide food often. And with this COVID-19, you probably know, Bunnings and all of the other big sellers.
Hang on. Oh, wait, no, keep going. We're good.
Okay. Where Bunnings and places like that ran out of seed and ran out of seedlings for pretty well all of the food plants that would normally be grown, because suddenly everyone's at home going, well, what'll I do? Oh, I might as well grow some food. Whoa. So I'm hoping that after COVID-19, that a lot of our primary behaviour is more home and near neighbourhood separated, that we, as a result of these last few weeks globally, we go, well, being at or near home's actually kind of nice. We don't have to drive around everywhere to get all our needs met. Let's settle down a bit more, And Sam, you'll be pleased to know that about 18 months ago, I did a recording on sustainability implementation, which I happened to listen to yesterday. And 18 months ago, I was saying what we need is a rapid transition from really movement-based lifestyles to more home-based and near neighbourhood lifestyles. And along come this COVID-19. And here we are globally kind of glued at or near our homes. So suddenly the petrol consumptions drop way away, all of the fossil fuel consumptions drop way away, and suddenly it's actually catapulting us toward more sustainable urban behaviour. I've been trying to get the university and the local council to go, let's formalise this, let's articulate this. Not a great deal of success so far.
Okay.
We good?
Yeah, we're good. Oh, hang on. We're good. Give me 2 secs. I'm going to try and do a microphone swap. This is where the wheels fell off last time, so let's see how we go.
All right.
Oh, hang on. I made you gigantic.
Oh, that's good. The volume's too high, but that's good.
That's fine. And an audio swap. We'll put you in my ears. Say something. Not quite. Keep talking. Keep talking. Keep talking.
And in the background, I can hear anytime you wanna play, anytime, yeah, it's okay. Anytime you wanna play, anytime at all.
So they can hear you, but I can't. So feel free to maintain sense. You know what? Actually, fuck it. Just...
Syria, Libya, most of sub-Saharan Africa, too many kids, well, too many.
Yeah, sure.
Remember a lot of years ago was the folk festival, and so many people said, we want you two to do a live show as if you were on radio, just talking to each other the way you talk, and you'd get a really good audience.
Well,
and we said,
we know. I was like, yeah, duh. Give me 50 grand. All right, so that's my starting price now.
Now, your voice is good. Your microphone swap, is that happened now?
Yeah.
Are we in?
It's on the feed as well.
Oh, you're good. Oh, you're going to the big high tech.
Hang on, I can't hear you yet. I'm putting you in my headset, so I'm now going into virtual reality. Can you see me?
I can see your horizon and you both.
Yeah, so I'm going into virtual reality. You're now in my can. AKG, high quality, good stuff.
How you doing?
Give me a little bubble butt.
Bubble, bubble, toil and trouble. We're all living in a...
Okay, so I can't see you now, but you are the voice of God, so to speak, in my ears. I'm just going to do a little bit of an intro, because this is... hang on. Oh no, how do I... Oh, shit. Okay, cool. So dad /
garden.
Yeah. So this is this artist I really like called Dirk at Work. And he's been kind enough to document his entire art flow, which is incredible. Because I've always looked at his work and how are you doing this? And he also then shared a YouTube project. I also donated $40 to the Dirk at Work Development Fund. I got I reckon I'll probably get $50,000 worth of value out of this.
Yeah, you probably got that already.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's so, okay, yeah, cool. So we're in the garden. As you can see, we've got this flow, this gradient style that we were practicing in the 3D art. It's incredible. So yeah, I've been watching this guy through these 2D screens for years now, I reckon. And I've never tried any of this stuff in VR. So
Well, what my analogy would be that you have this most fantastic dream and then you wake up and realise you can actually live in it.
Yeah. And like, you know, dreams like that, like the personal expression, the ability to bring people into your world, you know. So
Does this? I should get my VR goggles set and put my phone on into the goggles set and join you in there.
not yet.
Oh,
Eventually
phew.
that'll be the lines between physical versus space is going to get blurrier and blurrier.
Yes.
Not a lot of control, but that's
Well, we know that Dirk won't shirk work. You're going to expect some sort of quirk.
Hey, Dad, you're gonna have to be the interviewer here because I'm not capable of.
Okay.
such direction.
All right, here we go. Sam, when I see a little green ray go out from you, emanate from you, I just saw it for the first time with a curve, and then there's a little greenish circle at the end of that emanation from your headset direction. What's that about?
So my controller, as you guys can see here, am I facing the camera? I can't remember where the camera is.
Yes.
Alright.
Oh, wait on. You're the opposite. You're backwards to the camera, but that's all right.
Well, I'm dressed like a Melbourne, so there's no difference. As you can see here, I've got these two track controllers, and the headset itself is tracked, and I move around in space, and they move around with me. So that's where this is coming from, and it's just casting.
Track controllers.
Yeah, so that's the other crazy thing about virtual reality that doesn't get much of a look in, is that it's a fully tracked, you know, these controls are fully tracked in real time in a consumer, like this is, I'm at my house, you know what I mean? There's current headsets that are as good as this that cost about $600 that give you 3 real-time spatially tracked objects. So with computer haptics input, all of a sudden you've got this organic human interaction by itself. So what this is doing is it's casting a ray from that pointer. It's like a laser pointer. It's a Bezier curve because for some reason that feels more natural. And then it's repositioning my play space relative to the 3D space so I can cruise around basically.
So if it's operated by a trigger, then that green light beam laser thing, then it's like if you point it at something and then pull a trigger, then it will take you into that space.
Yeah.
Into that place.
It'll move, and where that circle is where I am relative to my play space, so it'll move me to where that circle is.
All right, yep. And then so for me, who's very primitive about all of this, if this were something like a game and someone else also had an equivalent headset and pointers, you could meet each other in this space, and then however you wanted yourself to be represented, either as a virtual image of how you and who you actually look like, or as some avatar or whatever, then could you interact with each other within this Dirk, the work shirt guy, could you meet in there and interact with each other in this virtual space?
Yeah, 100%. So like myself is represented by these 3 points in space, so my 2 hands and my head, because that's like the only real information you can get out from your, you know, that's what is available. As well as my audio, my voiceover, essentially. And so you can, just like any sort of like 3D multiplayer game, it would be that there would be a server that's got your position in the room and the other person's position in the room, and then you would have some sort of avatar that represents that. And lots of that stuff already exists. There's lots of really fun, like VR sort of like sport and social. You know, there's like a charades room, things like that. So it's pretty cool.
Yep. And so, have you ever met Dirk the Work Shirk?
No. I follow him on Twitter.
So this space that he's created is not occupied by other humans at this point.
No, not yet. But he does make the source at this.
Yep.
This is designed
Well,
to be shared. You seeing this?
exactly. Yeah, I am, and I saw that from a distance, and I thought that landscape is already humanised when I saw the sort of the tent area, which is remarkably like my back corner of my back, which I took on the tour before. This is neat and tidy. Mine's got old push bikes and lawnmowers in it, but hey, yeah, no, well, it's just how it is. We're in a COVID crisis. You can't have people congregating anyway. Yeah, it's a humanised landscape that has been constructed already. And so it begs the question, let's populate it.
I'll ask him. I bought the game. I bought this for a high price, but I didn't buy the code because I was like, I don't need that. So I'll see if he can give it to me, and I can make it. I can make it multiplayer. It's pretty easy. There's lots of like plugins and things that you can do to make it multiplayer. So yeah, that's really cool. Good job, Dirk.
All right. Yeah, good on you, Dirk. Work, Shirk. Now my next question is, and it could be a perk, but can you then get your 3D rotational transparent objects which you displayed in construction whilst you were working for Melbourne Uni there now 2 or 3 years ago, which started out with the bush house where you were born and spent the first 6 months of your life? Could you get that technological 3D virtual reality thing and then locate that within such an environment as this and then populate that with people?
Oh yeah, sure. No, 100%. That's like very. This was all made with very similar tools. Previously, like 3D art was like quite. What's the word? Like it's very like specific. You need a very specific skill set that's very like precise or whatever. But because of these new tools, you can use like human gestures to sculpt. So you can grab things and move them and scale them. So I always loved 3D art, but I could never learn these highly technical tool sets. But then there's these like it's just clay, and then you bring it in and bring it to life. So I think as an experiment, I think I can go into that house now.
Woohoo!
Hang on.
I'm very interested.
Me too. I don't know. This might not make it Google.
Because for me, who's old and stuff, I just imagine the amount of data involved in that 3D house, the bush house, and then putting that within this other program, which is no doubt very data rich. But I guess you've got a pretty grunty computer there that can do all of that.
Actually, this kind of stuff is the reason I really like it is because it's really low complexity, like for high visual feedback.
Right.
So it's all low poly. So those polygons that I showed you, it's got much less of them than you would need to say do a realistic rendering of a car, right? Or a tree or something like that. Whereas these have low poly, so they use less points in space, like literal arrays of vectors to represent, to store the shape essentially. And then the color palettes are all like these unified. They share a bunch of information about color. So that one green is figured out once for the whole time, essentially. This is super like just trimmed back way to put it. So this is my old 3D world.
Yes.
Oh, this isn't you, by the way.
I thought it was.
Now I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, it's like that, but it's from the Louvre.
Hey, look out, Bronwyn's coming down, so we'll introduce her to all of this at some point, maybe.
Sure, I don't know if she wants to go on the live stream.
He doesn't know it's live stream. Hey, Bronwyn, I'm talking to Sam. Come and say good day to him. Hold on, she's coming here. See Sam, she's down in there.
Oh, okay, hi.
Hey, Bron. So
How's your coffee?
I'm drinking coffee. This is Charlotte gave this to me, and it's like my aspirational cup. I'm like, yeah, I am Mr. Happy.
Mr. Happy.
Oh, Mr. Happy, that's good.
I was like, at least
Here's mine with all my slogans on it. Oh, there aren't
What's
any.
that? Don't grow gardens at home? Is that what it said?
No, gardens are good. It said Bronwyn's the tomato queen. I bought you some tomato steaks today
great.
to.
I'm just about to go out. Sam,
No.
sorry to be rude, darling. I'm just got to go out.
It's fine.
Mark just called, so.
This is the first time we've touched in 6 weeks, but that's all right.
Oh, yeah, right.
All right,
See
then.
you, Sam.
You both managed to spontaneously get coronavirus from each other.
I know. It just can't. There's been no cases in Townsville for about 4 weeks, like none.
Licked in Australia, as long as we keep the borders closed. Because the thing is that I reckon the world would have it licked if it wasn't for the fact that America, which is the biggest country in the world, has not got it licked. Do you know what I mean? So as long as they're bubbling away, we're cooked.
Yeah, it's true, and exactly what you say. The only way people in Townsville now, for instance, is a fractal of the big story, is that the only way we're probably going to get any more cases here is that if someone brings it in for 3-4 weeks out, even if you've got an asymptomatic carrier and they pass it on to someone else who's asymptomatic, and they're secretly spreading it to all that they come too close to, after 3 weeks, that likelihood mathematically starts to drop right off a cliff. So, yeah, importing it. And Australia's only real error was that stupid Ruby Princess thing and letting all of those polluted people come in from that. Okay, so you're going to try and bring the bush house into the Dirk work environment.
No, I could, but I'm not going to do that. That'll take a while. There's supposed to be just a button where you can like go see Polly in VR Google something. To see, click the URL. See publish to in VR on your mobile device. Oh, it has to come through mobile. That sucks. Give it a crack. What do? Download. Can I download it? I can't even download it. It's my.
That's right. It's in there already. You made it. Oh, wait on. I made it. You depicted it.
I depicted it. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I went through a massive tear of doing these like line art sculptures, I guess you'd call them. Maybe I could see it in Firefox. Do I have Firefox? Look, whatever. It's alright. You get the idea.
Hang on a tick. How long are you going to be, do you think?
An hour and a half.
All right. Sweet.
So ever since my our stay at the bush house, I've grown a like irrational, almost agoraphobic fear of wind.
Yeah.
Because we were in during September or November, and it was so windy, and like every time you go out, you're like, my head's going to get chopped off. For like a month of just like high, like wind is bad, like trees would conk it, you know, and you're just like, oh god, stay inside. And very impressed the house held up, to be honest. Where were we here? Wait, where's the bedroom? Oh yeah, so this bit here, it's kind of held on with a couple of, there's a few supporting.
Oh, heavy wire. Yeah.
It was like, I was like, is that going to go? And it like, through wind that took down like 50-year-old gum trees, it held strong, but it was definitely, had a bit of wiggle. Wiggle to it.
Wiggle's good. That's just absorbing the surplus energy, the wiggle. A thing on fence wire, Sam, is that when I was a lad working on one uncle's farm, Uncle Ken, whom you may remember, up out of Mullaney there, I used to do fencing for him, and I'd dig strainer post holes 3 feet deep, a metre deep, and put in the big corner post. And then we'd get the wire and we'd anchor the wire at one end, and maybe half a kilometre away you'd have to roll out the wire and back the tractor, and then you'd tighten up that wire with the tractor, and just snap wire is almost impossible. It's really, really, really strong. So anything that I ended up worried about enough to wire down is probably going to hold. Well, it's all held for 43 years, so what the heck.
So what's the story with this like mud bottle wall? Where'd that come from?
Oh, it's just I had stubbies. I don't know how that happened. And every rock that I had to dig out of the ground because all of the rock for that build came within, and mud came within about 30 metres of the build, dug out from the ridge there and nearby. So as I got higher out of the ground, it was harder and harder to get material. So there is a sub-school of bush building that says you can use bottles and bottle ends as walls. A, it provides building material, and B, it lets low-level light to the inside, but it's still all coherent and weatherproof. And so that's a weatherproof way of letting light into that downstairs laundry area. And just it's easier than digging another half a handful of mud out of the hard, unyielding landscape, ancient landscape.
So yeah, this is the bush shack Dad built over about 40 years. I was born and raised in the top section. There's no internals. I guess that'd be the next step. Do the insides. It should be pretty relatively geometrically correct. Basically, what I did, Dad, was I took photos from every angle and I sort of like constructed the shell.
Oh, accurate.
Yeah. So it's pretty spot on. This was like the first part here. Well, I don't know why I'm telling this story. It's your story. But
well, no, it's your story because you rendered it.
True. This is this giant. We call it the dinosaur plant. Like this big, massive. Like has the skin of a whale. Big, massive leaves. And there's one that's like as big as half this house. It's like down the hill.
I think it's flax plant, but they're very, very fire retardant. Incredibly hardy through many droughts that particular plant's endured, to the point where in more recent years I've gotten little baby buds off the side and planted them out. And in the recent bushfire that went through there, Sam, New Year's Eve, as far as I'm told, because I've not been there yet, but by locals who have been down there, the 3 buildings survived.
Yep.
So all that hard work of cladding it off with tin and all the other junk that I did to minimise the fire risk may have helped those 3 buildings survive.
Yeah, so the property is out in the middle of the bush, and Dad like essentially has like bracketed, I don't know if that's the right word, with tin. Most of them, anything that's flammable is covered in tin. So the house looks a little bit like a sort of Terry Pratchett style, like war machine, ready for the, you can imagine it getting pulled by an elephant in some sort of post-apocalyptic but slightly comedic wasteland. But, it stops fire.
Well, it did help. The fact that the main fire front, I'm not sure if it had been in the Inferno fire front, which a lot of people lost their houses up that valley. Graham Spice, if I can use the name, maybe not, but no. Lost a dear old friend, lost his house that he'd started too in the early 70s, and I'd spend many times up there. And he in the local fire brigade and stuff. And indeed, Sam, I know we may be listened into by others at the moment, but I was talking to Graham recently, and he said that he, within being with the Royal Fire Service on the truck, and they had been called out to Cobargo to save the School of Arts, which is about 4 doors upslope from JJ's old house there in Cobargo. And Graham had been up there. They'd saved the hall, and he looked down and he saw smoke coming out of JJ's house. And GS said to me, he said, I wanted to go down and try and put it out, but the smoke was coming from inside, and he knew he'd have to kick open the door. Anyway, JJ's Cobargo house burned down, as did a lot of Cobargo, which is all over the national and international news for weeks and weeks afterward. But yeah, JJ's house in Cobargo gone.
Oh, JJ. Sorry, I was like, who the fuck's JJ? Okay, yeah, that sucks. But, oh well, he doesn't care.
Yeah. Well, no, he wasn't there to grieve all the loss, but of course, GS, his concern was of all of the lovely woodworking tools and so on inside.
Yeah, of course.
And GS said, I really wanted to go down there and try and rescue tools. And I said, nah. And he said, nah. And he'd been going for 3 or 4 days by then anyway. He was fully knackered. I'd talked to him about 6 weeks before that fire went through. And on radar stuff, it looked like there had been bits of rain there. I said, how's the landscape looking? And he said, it's ready to blow. And for him to say that, I've never heard him say that before. I thought, trouble.
Yeah, sucks. And like, it just feels like it's just been forgotten. Like, of course, it's been forgotten because of the coronavirus or whatever. But like, is anyone got that money that they need? Is what's the community? What's going on? You know, is it?
Have they learned how to shake hands yet? Oh, they're not allowed touch.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. That's no form for this.
Yeah. They were
one thing I'm doing now, Dad, to give you some context.
I'm
aside
at
from
it.
being
Yep.
very rude and clicking away.
No.
This is great.
This is the main game.
Yeah. Well, I think Tales from the Front Line. Hang on, I'm just going to change my task.
So did you make these landscapes up?
Prepping for Look Dev with creative director. So I've got another guest coming on in half an hour. Maybe. Woo! I was trying to get so the creative director is like the boss of the art at where I work. If that makes sense. Art, look, style, creative director. Great title. One day I hope to be a creative director of some capacity.
I thought you got born to be a creative director.
Yeah, well, you gotta do the hard yards first. You've got to be creative directed for a while. So I'm putting together, basically what I've been doing is some like personal professional development, and he's like, I'm sort of tapping in with him, and he's sort of giving me just like, kind of feedback / someone to like sounding board it with.
Mentor.
Pardon?
Mentor.
Yeah, exactly. And so he, so this is this project. I won't do it. I've already run through it on the stream, but this like concept that I'm working on. Can you see these little hands here? Hang on, I'll zoom in for you. So I made these little hands that when they touch things, they like react.
Okay.
And then like they make sound and things like that. So I'm trying to come up with like nice art now. So trying to get this.
And you can operate those hands through your own handsets. Does that mean you've got to have a? So to make them operational, you'd need to put them in some glove with a lot of sensors on them.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Full camera. So I haven't got my headset.
Wow.
So this is the best headset that exists in the world at the moment. 650 Australian dollars. Does everything that you just saw then, but you don't need a computer. Yep. Completely standalone. It's solely shirt lost because Facebook wants everyone to go into their data world, basically. Fair enough. It's got these. It's got 4 cameras going each way, and it constantly scans the environment as you're looking around and creates like a model of the environment in its head, not a visual model, so it knows where it is. So that's how it figures out where it is in the spatial world. These cameras can also track your hands and do the same thing to figure out where your hands are and create a 3D representation of your hands. So it's so
it's doing all the work. Yep.
Full contactless hand tracking exists now.
What I'd call just off the photons.
Off the photons, yeah.
Just,
photon based.
Really.
It's crazy.
Amazing.
It's sort of like everything's been going really slow, and it feels like it's really sluggish. And you're like, have I accidentally become like a carny working with these weird toys? And then all of a sudden with this breakthrough, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm at the forefront of like visual and computer impact.
Yeah.
Tactic.
Well, going in the background while we're having this conversation of my thing, because I'm working up a memory stick to send up to Patrick, and getting all the best copies of the tracks that we recorded in that 10 months that I was here last time before he had to go up to TI. And the song that you're well familiar with, There Was No TV When I Was a Kid. I can't remember what we, and on, and then it goes, now we're going solar, now we're going solar plus storage. But the idea of me, this one, being born before there was television in Australia, to you being born when the internet wasn't really existent.
No.
At JCU, the internet started coming in 1993. So you're about 6 years old when the internet started. And from there, in less than 30 years, it's gone so that photons on a $650 camera on your head, or 4 cameras on your head, can know where your hands are and then share that, if need be, with the rest of the world in real time. Crackers.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling, and then it's suddenly everything feels really slow, and then it's moving really fast, and yeah, it's nuts.
Middle of the biggest explosion of any species on this planet ever. Us now, last 300 years, faster and faster. Boom, we are in the middle of that global explosion, and it's just staggering. And of course, like you say, every day feels very little different from yesterday. But hang on, 2 months ago, we were all just getting in aeroplanes and going everywhere. And now we're all staying home and going, nah, keep your distance. So very adaptable, you bet.
So my creative director isn't going to come because he's got stuff to do, which is good because I'm a bit tapped out, to be honest, and I'm not quite where I want to be. I'm just sharing him a photo of this. Got my dad on the stream, talking through VR stuff. Very cool. Well, it's everything feels so normal so quickly, but like I'm essentially almost like psychically linked to the people that I have shared objectives with via, I can type about as fast as I can talk, like it's my brain almost changes when I sit at my deck. But and then this will be an arcade. This sort of whole, I've got this whole sort of system that I have to slot into because I'm so used to all the accoutrement required for hardcore computing, but that'll all be replaced by a little receiver for kids, and they'll be like, "Why are you plugged into all this? What have you got all this shit for?" I'm like, "Oh, you need the cable."
Yeah,
Dad,
no, you don't.
Get the neural shunt, Dad. Come on.
It'll come sooner than we think, no doubt. It's fascinating. One of my and Patrick's more recent songs is about we all come from somewhere, and then it breaks into one of the verses is, it's 21, the 21st century. It's 21. We've had our fun. We've got our Trump, and now we're stumped, going somewhere. So within this global explosion of one remarkable species who's gone electric just in the last 300 years, who's gone electronic in the last 70 years, just staggering, to this within your lifetime, a global network of real-time sharing of knowledge, of information, of disinformation, and so on, but global nonetheless, from the time of the first space landing on the moon in the late 60s to now, as everyone says, the amount of computing power in your average modern telephone is just bigger than all of the computers that existed 30 years ago planet-wide. Amazing. And it's explosive. And like you said before, it's like, it's all slow and every day is much like the one before it, but pan out in any time scale at all. And all of our good gear and a lot of our stupid environmental idiot behaviour is all nearly exponential.
The idea of like computing such a thrown around word, when it's really it's an individual, like each computation is like represented a monk doing one piece of math on a scroll, and then we say, oh, computing, just like the acceleration of like human ability to like chunk out problems into chunks. It's like each, like if you think of it in terms of like monks doing maths, it's pretty incredible what the increasing computing power, or scientists doing calculations to go to space.
And the sharing is what constantly preoccupies me, is that we can do what we're doing now. When I was still in my 20s, 30s, it was landlines only for telephones, and contrast that to our level of communication right here, right now, in one lifetime. Just staggering and glorious, and it points to we really don't know what it's going to look like 20 years out in terms of our capacity to communicate and share.
And what we'd want to communicate and share. All right, I'm back. I'm shifting gears here.
Yeah, well, look, shift away from me, and I'll do a wind up if there's still anyone watching. Lovely to share time with you. Well, terrific.
For the first half, it got interrupted and started the second stream. For the first half, there was 30 viewers in total.
I'd be interested to hear any feedback, if indeed there is any.
No one gives any. Anything less than like 10,000 is basically zero.
Okay, gee, so there's an horizon, an horizon of random people. Just so, are we streaming? Are we out there as well, or are we private? Because there is a. Oh, we're streaming.
We're still streaming.
All right. Well, I don't want to do any screaming during this streaming, but I tell you, inside I'm really beaming. I'm just so happy that this has happened.
Me too. This is fun.
And if you want to do this again anytime, just now that we know it's this easy, you just got to read me some numbers and a password, and we're in. And I'm quite. I do want to enter this Zoom world rather than do all of the meetings that I've got to do once my teeth are reinstalled in about 3 or 4 weeks. So I've had some enforced downtime in terms of my efforts to help rapidly implement sustainability. But I'll bow out with this background music, which isn't playing real loud. Sustainability, but I'll bow out with this background music, which isn't playing real.
Hang on, I lost you. Where'd you go?
Yeah, that's me.
I'm still getting right. Thanks for all right. Very big thank you to Mr. Dr. Douglas Gowdy of Sustainable Structure Implementation Incorporated. Make sure that if you want to talk about local, doable initiatives for forging a path to sustainability, you just search Douglas Gowdy on the internet and you'll see a picture of his smiling face, much akin to the one you are looking at now. Thanks very much, Doug.
Bye. I don't know how to turn this off, but bye anyway.
Yeah, that's all right.
You cut off your end. Yep. Cheers, Sam.
Love you, Dad.
Hey.
I was sick. That's the best TV you've fucking ever seen. Alright. I guess I'm going to take a break, actually. Eat some food. stupid. Squeeze it too hard.
Muscle fingers.
This was just part of an experiment. Put some pictures up online, got some good feedback, and decided there was something in it. I'm Robin Grasby, founder of Alt Rock. We make bespoke custom terrazzo in London, UK. What really makes it something real is the brand. At the start of it, the website is the brand. So finding a platform like Squarespace to produce something very professional looking is really important.
Now it's time for the on. Wow, so cheap. The whole thing's just falling apart. It's pathetic. Oh, how cheap. Oh, of course. The junk. Alright, time to see if it works perfect. Kind of plugged in because I know it's just going to trip the breaker again. This thing's so cheap and pathetic. Wow, it's just so clean inside. Man, everyone looks after stuff so well, even though it's just dumped outside for who knows how long. It's so easily. No more scissor.
Right. We're going to demonstrate now how to make some little omelettes in a sandwich toaster. We've just made the toasted sandwiches here, but just let them cool down a bit, which is also a good tip really. So we've got a cup, just a cup that's easy enough to clean out.
Scotty looks tired.
tin pie toast is.
Yeah. Oh, that was so good. Alright, give us your plate, but I'm getting fucking Princey dinner treatment.
Yeah. Just do it.
No, tonight I'm gonna become an inert lump of matter. You have to tend to me like some sort of thrall.
You're the best.
You weren't even listening! That's not what I said!
I don't know, sorry.
That's what I reckon too. I don't want to sully my brand.
Yeah, Grace. Okay, just take my hat out because I didn't realize I had one hanging out there. You're good, but a bit.
Oh, thank you. Da.
Very pleasing to say that we now are very clear that we have enough masks. That's a great thing after all the issues we've had with masks and making sure we can bring in sufficient supplies. We're still doing some work to be absolutely confident about other elements of PPE, but we've got good confidence and those supply lines are now being restored.
That's enough, buddy. Ooh. Okay, there's my dad. All right, we're back. We're live. Episode 2. Wrapping up, working out tutorials, yada yada yada. Okay, so firstly, I love these guys so much. Cinti Studios. I'm obsessed with their art style. I bought a bunch of these already. One day I'm gonna make a whole game out of them. Let me share this with Jesse. So I just had my dad on the stream. That's probably been the highlight of my week. Like realistically, very funny thing to do, I think. And yeah, he's a good talker. We have a good chat all the time when we do talk. So might become a regular guest. Checking my Slack. What do we got? Threads. Keycap. These are so adorable. Keyboard. Yada yada yada. Won't stream my work Slack. That is very rude. Okay, cool. So, probably shouldn't have started streaming straight away because I'm not ready. I'm still coming down off the high of having my dad in the stream. It's pretty cool. So, to continue on, soldier on, I'm going to... what the fuck? What the fuck, man? I thought you were streaming the other side. Where'd OBS go? Guess not. Alright, I just snapped my housemate's sandwich maker. Devastated, obviously. Well, I am. I don't think they care as much. I was like, oh my fucking god, I fucked up. I'm such a fucking idiot. And they were just like, it's okay. It's like 100 years old. And I looked it up and the sandwich maker was, like selling for like $5 on Gumtree but in Punch Bowl. And there's only one in the country. I'm the only person that specifically wants this one sandwich maker. And I found this one
The
video.
most common reaction to a birch arrangement is, I didn't know flowers could look like this. I'm Brittany.
I just cancelled my
Now
like.
it's time for the Breville Scissor 8. Not 7, not 9, 8. Whatever that's supposed to mean. It sort of looks like an Atari. It's so crusty and vintage, I'm sure it's just gonna blow to bits. What? It actually stayed on?
Who is this guy?
Oh, so cheap. The whole thing's just falling apart. Pathetic. Cheap. Oh, of course. It's junk.
Of course.
I'm gonna see if it works perfect.
Who's this guy?
I have it plugged in because I know it's just gonna trip the breaker again.
He had it plugged in while he did it?
Pathetic. Wow, it's just so clean inside. Man, everyone looks after stuff so well, even though it's just dumped outside for who knows how long. It's split so easily. No more scissor.
That was fucked up.
This isn't just a regular sandwich maker. This one says it's the original.
This guy's just
original
smashing
one.
sandwich makers.
First one ever. Nothing else like this has ever been made. I guess if the original, it should be the best quality.
Why does he hate sandwich makers so much?
It just blew up like the other one. How can it be the original if it's just as cheap? But of course, the price tag would have a couple extra zeros on the end because they just.
This guy hates sandwich makers. Hates everything. Oh well. 92,000 views. Fuck, I'm in the wrong business. 1.6 million views for smashing a fan? Alright, what do I need to smash to get 1.6 million views? Smash my own hard work. Okay, let's do it. I'm going to go to stream view. I'm just going to dive right in. I think I've said what needs to be said. Turn that on. That on. Task. UV unwrapping. Unwrapping these models to prep for substance. Okay, I'm really excited about this actually. It's my royalty-free music, which never is actually royalty-free, but at least they pretend to be, so I won't feel bad. Oof. Sounds like fucking shit. I'm like that guy. Ooh, royalty-free? Who do you think you are? Alright, how are my levels? Not good, alright. Alright, let's get it. clicking wrong? How do I... I've got to hold down Alt? Okay. Alright, that's fine. If they can figure out the geometry and the volume and stuff in Blender, why don't they make it that you can set at base? Anyway. Nope. Ah, okay. Cool. I'm gonna have to split up my little scene, sadly. I think. Yeah, that's a bummer. Oh well, that's okay. These new tooltips in Blender are great. Okay, so you can click on a point on the geometry, so that makes it pretty easy to be accurate. Object, set origin, origin to 3D cursor. Plant body. Just another huge shout out to Dirk for making these tutorials, by the way. Just click there, select that, object, oh no. find out how big a person is? Height. Okay, what did we do? We went sort of in here or something like that. Tools, scene, units, metric, unit scale, 1 centimeter. Maybe if I add a cube, and then I say, alright, how big are you, cube? Maybe I've already shrunk all this down actually, but sure, this will give me its transform. Let's get this shit right. Fucking. Whoa. So how do I add this ruler? how big everything needs to be. Alright. Let's see if we can scale it. Let's oof. Scale everything. Scale. Save in Blender. Say, what am I? I'm 180 centimeters, roughly. Who's asking? So, what is it? Let's move. Let's see. Okay, so it's still too big. So, feels about right. So I'm 180. My desk comes into about here, which is right higher, so that's good. Okay, now for the ultimate tragedy. I'm going to start really small with this because I'm just learning. G on the Z axis, no, the X axis. Just going to move everything one over. Show this photo to Jesse? That's the question. Here we go. This is so exciting, actually. So G on the X, so sort of keep everything together. And also G on the Y, no, on the Z. So Blender. G on the X. And then G on the Z. Put it down near the ground. G on the Z. G on the X. Actually, I guess we want everything to be sort of centered, right? G on the Z. Okay. Let's see if we can get these rotated to be right. I guess if I just go on the Z, on the Z, how do we go to isometric? Top down, there we go. Nope. So they should be relatively straight. G on the Z. No? No, not G. Sorry, S. No. Yeah, there we go. Does that work? Close to it. G on the X. G, no, R on the Z. Let's get that straightened up. G, just put it there for now. G on the Z. R. The letters I'm saying are hotkeys. So R for rotate, and then Z is the axis. G for grab, I guess. That's probably what it means. G for grab. These probably don't need to be straight. I just, you know. On the Y, and the X. Okay, G on the X, G on the Z. Let's get them all about the same height. G on the Z, G on the Z, G on the Z, and then a little bit of G on the X. I reckon that ought to do the trick. G on the whatever. Wait, no, hang on, that's not good. G on the Z. While we're at it. G on the V. G on the Y, okay. G on the, that makes sense. Cool. I'm going to listen in on a Zoom situation.
Martina, it looks like you're trying to speak to us, but it looks like your microphone doesn't seem to be working. So you might want to play with your settings a little bit, because it does look like your Zoom isn't registering your microphone. So it's not even on mute. So maybe try logging out and logging back in again, and then we'll give it a crack again. Sorry about that. Sam, how are you going, buddy? I would love for you to...
Hey, bud.
And to meet these amazing people. Guys, Sam is a legend. He's an alum from our, I think it was our third iteration of programs. He works at a company run by some friends of mine doing some great stuff with AR and VR. This guy is an absolute legend. So Sam, over to you.
Hey guys, how you going? Yeah, so I'm a VR designer and developer. I guess I only have one video I can show you, which is my stream. Troy, I was going to come in secretly. I'm currently streaming on Twitch. And can I keep streaming? Is that all right? Because I was like, I don't want to stop streaming. All right. So I'm currently, so I can just stream my desktop, but I'm going to add you guys as a camera, to my Twitch.
I need your computer, because my computer definitely could not handle doing that stream.
Oh man, I've got multiple camera views. It's pretty wild up here. Hang on, I'll just switch into my secondary camera view. It's pretty wild. Hang on, so let me go back to my stream. So anyway, while I'm doing that, so I'm Sam. I'm a VR designer and developer. I work in mostly experience design for a company called Foria. We have made companion apps to the Netflix series Our Planet, where people interact with the content coming from the show, and then have like a sort of shared social experience around like this sort of like 3D art nature content. We also do a bunch of work with digital twins, which are like digital data sets that match up to buildings. And those digital twins, I'm really interested in how those digital data sets will relate to obviously spacecraft specifically, vessels, being, anything from a ship to an aeroplane. There's obviously this huge mass of sensors and spatial data. How we can visualize that and make that interactive, so that the pilots of the future don't need to, I don't know even how a person uses a rocket ship now, presumably through some sort of 2D screen, whereas in the future you'd be able to call up and access and interact with that data spatially. So that's kind of my interest in space. And I wasn't an alum, I was a hackathon. Thank you. But oh no. And I also have my modem next to my foot, and I keep kicking it.
That's actually, I've got the exact same thing here as well.
It's doing my head in.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, mate. Is there anything you can? Whoa, here we go, infinity. Is it while we've got your screen up? Is there anything really cool you want to show us? So guys, I'm really interested in this concept of
Yeah, that's so meta.
I'm really interested in this concept of digital twins and what it might mean for things like Martian analogs, or even space stations. So wouldn't it be awesome if Axiom Space, for example, with their new habitat module, had this digital twin where you could interact with all these different things that are happening and overlay what essentially is a virtual reality. I think digital twins in space, and Alyssa, I'm sure you, I guess this is probably a term that you use all the time. It'd be really interesting to hear your thoughts. I'm really interested to see where we can have more digital twins and space-enabled and space-related things happening.
Yeah, well, we're using Earth observation data to actually build digital twins on how the environment's changing and all the dynamics, and report and quantify what's actually going on back here on Earth. So it's in a way ironic that we need to go to space to actually quantify what's happening here on Earth. But yeah, absolutely, that spatial spatial data and sensor data and linking data fusion of all these different sensors is critical to building 2D, 3D, 4D, 5D plus digital twins. And yeah, it's quite incredible the depth of information we can get out of actually having our Earth in that format. And it's really interesting to hear then being able to put that in sort of more that mixed reality and also seeing what happens if we change one element and the response of that. So I think so OSIS is definitely part of that, and building that for enterprises to solve their problems back here on Earth right now. And as more sensors come online, we'll be able to integrate those to look at different types of metrics and variables, and how they are interacting with other variables in the landscape as well.
Yeah, very cool. If we were to just to brainstorm stuff, I know we've probably only got a couple of minutes left before. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but if you want to stick around, then feel free. I'll stick around for a little bit longer. If we were to brainstorm something, Sam and Alyssa, what's something really cool or potentially useful that you reckon that you guys could potentially do together? This is all theoretically, not forcing you to do any projects, but Alyssa, you guys have got some amazing access to data sets, and that kind of capability around the Earth observation. Sam, you're an absolute whiz on this. I'll unpin your video for you. You're an absolute whiz on these digital twins. What's something that we could potentially do that would be something to say, hey, look at what we can do with space stuff in Australia. It doesnn't have to be the rockets or satellites. It's something new. It's still at the forefront of technology, and here's a whole bunch of extra value we can create and then export it maybe. What do you reckon?
I think I'd have to understand the data sets more, but one thing that visualizing digital twins and spatial data does is obviously gives you lots of information, like context, an information about an environment that you can't, but it's really hard to parse that data. So like, how do you take something that's seen from space and translate it to someone and localize it and make it meaningful? Like, okay, well, that's great, that's the Earth, but what's the Earth? I'm in my room.
Yeah.
So something that's really interesting that you can do, like, Google Maps is like the world's first meta digital twin, really, is, you can align that data spatially just using geo coordinates and things like that. And this is all possible today, is you could have that data live streaming to the location that the person's in. So at any point you could be in a city, for example, pull up your phone and see a 3D visualization of the information that is getting from the satellite. So I guess my question is, what kind of data that comes from the satellites would people want to / need to see?
Yeah, and that's where we come in. So we work directly with the people who need problems, sort of rather complex problems solved, and we create those analytics that solve that problem. And we always say less data, more answers. And we make the information really easy to understand. Either go here, don't go here. And so being able to deliver that into sort of a nice visualization is definitely something that's on our roadmap as well. You can see behind me we've got 30 years of data compiled into every time that we detected water, and if it's a darker area, then there's been water there quite consistently through time. If it's lighter, then it's only turned up once in a while. So we can actually start to move that through time as well, and build amazing dynamic models. And it's all real observations that have actually happened. It's not modeled data, it's observed data. So yeah, I think there's definitely some synergies there for sure around the data analytics, and then translating that into really easy consumable visualizations and interactive visualizations with that.
So I think something that comes to mind with 3D visualization is being able to see through time. So being able to stand on, say, the banks of an estuary, your phone's aligned via GPS coordinate, so it can anchor itself in space and then align a 3D data set pretty easily. And this can all come from live data sets relatively easily as well. Means that a farmer or a surveyor or something like that could go out, look through their phone. Obviously, eventually they'll be looking through some sort of less cyberpunk sticky tape together contraption, and actually visualize that data aligned with the space. Troy, you asked, and I just played in the background while we were talking. Troy, you asked about some stuff we're working on that I can share. This is our digital twin work with University of Melbourne. So I'll put it on mute. I don't know if my audio will come through anyway. But yeah, this is the Melbourne School of Design. I'll just hit play.
The University of
Is that audio coming through?
Horizon 3 digital agenda. We've been demonstrating.
Okay, that's good. That's fine.
Cost-effective 3D
Well, it's
scanning
Trent
to
explaining it,
bring the
but
built environment online. By working with
I'll
like Matterport,
take my
create
headphones out a little bit.
within
So this is a digital twin of the Melbourne University captured with
innovations in
Matterport.
this reality
And any
space
type of
is
data set
truly game-changing.
can really form a digital twin. Hang on, I'm just trying to figure out if I can turn this volume down because it's very distracting. It's Trent explaining it much better than I could. I'll cut through the... Here we go. So this is we use cloud various alignment things which you won't really have to worry about. Eventually you'll be able to pull your phone out and know exactly where you are on Earth, or the phone will know exactly where it is, or the device will know exactly where it is relative to, say, a spacecraft. And it'll just know exactly where it is. And then, so this phone, the person's in the School of Design, I think it is, they can see through different data layers, look at the Matterport scans taken over time, and align a whole bunch of different data layers as well. So I think that's probably all that's possible now. I think what this does is it gives it context in space, and it makes that data available and meaningful to people that aren't maybe subject matter experts, probably. I'm just going to
So
leave that
Sam,
on.
have you created that actual visualization tool? Like, what part of that's your element?
Yeah. So we made the application, pretty much everything in the video. So we've got wayfinding, aligning to the. We've got a ability to align to persistently align to a space, so a device can know where it is in that space relative to a data set that we handle through the digital twin, which the skeleton of it is a 3D scan essentially. But it could be anything. It could be a map. And then the phone's like, all right, this is where I'm relative to it. And then we've got these different data layers that we store relative to that space. So here we've got an annotation data layer, we've got a wayfinding data layer, we've got a IoT sensor data layer, and all those things sit, just in AWS, but they're all aligned. And then we built the front end. That's actually the area that I work in is like the visualization and the UX around it. Then just like relative to that space, it'll then display the 3D scan or the building information model or the wayfinding data.
Hey Sam, and Kieran here, have you had much to do with putting, say, digital twins in digital twin environments? A bit of work, that testing and evaluation that we've done previously is creating analogs and then putting certain components or certain, let's say, a spacecraft into an environment and then testing what happens when you do things to it.
No, it's a short answer. I would love to be. We're more about us, so this is slightly less related, but that's our Christmas experience. Also based on the digital twin, we built a digital twin of Fed Square, and then built a custom 3D system that aligned with that big black box in the middle of the city. So that's like aligned to that, and then it's just sort of digital version of that footprint, and then it's like, hey, behind the scenes Santa. That level of simulation, I'm assuming you're talking about like having kind of physics level simulations where you've got a relatively realistic engine, rocket engine, and like what happens. That's not really we're more data and visualizations. That's like pretty hardcore science. One thing that is interesting you could do and can do now, like the modern devices can mesh the space pretty well, and then we do most of our work, at least prototyping in a game engine called Unity, and it's got its own physics engine. So you can sort of play around with things like fluid motion dynamics and airflow, and you could push that further and have a space meshed out and then trigger simulations, but it'd be limited by game level physics. It wouldn't be the full. But physics is physics. It's maths. But it's not something we've done before. But I'm very interested in it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Kieran, is there something you're thinking that if that capability existed, that would be quite interesting? What are you thinking?
It's just it's a higher level analog, right? It's an environment that you can test things in. You don't have to send it into space to test it. That requires a large amount of fidelity or a very directed approach to what you're actually trying to test. But it has been done before in lots of places, definitely. The military use it extensively.
Yeah.
In the hackathon actually that I went to with Troy, myself and my partner were exploring. So he is an amateur rocketeer. Is that right, Troy? He's put a satellite into space, and we got along really well. And I was just obsessed with the fact that he'd touched the space object. We were, and he was more than happy to. He came in with designs for a small oxygen propelled scan unit that you would have that would pop out of the craft, go around it. I think it did other things as well. All I remember was the digital twin stuff that it would do. But we were exploring simulating that in Unity, and 100% that level of simulating force and vectors and how they would work, you could 100% do with really simple systems, and then so all that kind of movement, gravity, rotation, sort of work is so much more accessible and democratic now. It's not this like $1 million software. You can do it with nearly anything. It's really cool.
Sam, how powerful is Unity? Like, you know, if you wanted to extend or, you know, I guess make the physics, like the game physics more granular and be more representative of the real universe, would it be possible to say, simulate, you know, let's say you got, you know, a cubic meter of volume, and you were simulating a microgravity. Like, so say Kieran's got his planes and they're going to be doing these parabolic flights. Would it be possible? I don't know, and Kieran, I don't know if this is actually useful or is what you're thinking of at all. But yeah, would it be useful to be able to have, you know, a computer simulation of saying, you know, some experiment that's happening, you're simulating that in this space before you actually go and take it and do it in a real parabolic flight?
So I think you would have to have enough of an understanding of both Unity and physics to create the right environment. I think specifically gravity, like you can simulate what happens under a G very effectively. I think I'm relatively certain. And you can tweak those parameters. And I'm just looking here. This is my classic, like just like let's do it together. But I can sort of translate. But the reason I'm like, and you could then simulate what happens with like bodies that attract each other, and you know you could sort of like make a simulacrum of gravity that meant that the solar system would behave almost exactly the same, but you'd have to know how that, like, you'd have to know the mass of all the planets and how they relate to each other, and you'd have to understand science pretty well. And I think that at that point, if you're then getting that level of granularity, if you're a new Unity, you use Unity, but if you didn't, there'd probably be more lightweight programs that could do it, unless you wanted to like add special effects and things like that as well. Second answer, I would not advise you to do scientific modeling. Illustration of scientific concepts is another matter, which is what I think where, like, you want to visualize something awesome. If not, this is where it really comes down to, is it's about making games, and so there's a lot of shortcuts with physics, and often I'll code what could be considered not my own physics, but my own physical behavior properties over their physics engine, because while it's more realistic, it's less fun. So yeah, there'd probably be better avenues, but it is a place that you could say creatively explore the physical properties of things without having to go too deep a level. But I wouldn't use it to run the calculations that would launch a rocket ship.
Not a real one anyway.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
a Kerbal Space Program rocket, maybe.
So I unmuted just to kind of, for a point of levity, but also to kind of address what Sam was talking about in terms of level of accessibility, right? This is just a snap camera with pretty good sim, I would say. So completely feasible to do such metrics, but then as I was just talking, nice, thanks for the expansion of the profile there, Sam. But then I was just talking with a friend of mine who, Kieran, I have to introduce you to, because she's been part of Zero G leadership for a long time and is actually working on expanding parabolics here in the US. But she and I were just talking about this today, about the use of parabolics for development and their importance. Sorry, I'm going to turn off my video so it's less distracting. But at a certain point, models lose their fidelity, right? So she has to, you know, even though the articulating arm in the models worked well, so she used to do satellite and other robotics development for Northrop Grumman before she went into parabolics for testing. But, you know, the articulating arm would work just fine in the models and then just fine in 1G, and then they took it up in the parabolic and it didn't work. It didn't work. So that would have been a huge problem if it actually launched and made it up into atmosphere. But because of that parabolic, of actually moving it into a closer environment, they prevented a massive fail in the project. So just thinking about how to, yes, absolutely use those computational models to inform decisions around design and build. You still require the next step of tech readiness assessment before launch is possible. That, at least that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, it's very much an enabler, and it works both ways in that you can have an assumption of the way something will work, test it out that it doesn't work, or you can pre-test that assumption and then replicate the conditions behind it. If you've got enough granularity, you can assume that it will work. Say, there's another arm has been previously tested in microgravity, and if we use the same principles and methods and the means that arm works, we could expect to a certain probability that it would work. It saves reinventing the wheel over and over again, and works both ways.
No, Sam, I was also going to chime in and say, what I do for research with Cornell is very much interested in contextualized metadata of location. So whether I'm out in the field or working in urban environments to characterize the microbiome within a particular environment. So collecting and utilizing and then following over time certain metadata in interior and external spaces, both urban as well as extreme environments. So I just got back from Antarctica in February, where I was doing these same approaches to use of metadata to start producing longitudinal study of targeted high-risk regions. So just to say, Sam, absolutely, there's enormous demand for this sort of building of layered meta experiences of data, including what Elisa's working on, right? So connecting different layers of understanding into that same spot.
I think that's the challenge for us, is that we've spent years of life together building these tools to visualize things, but we as a business are experts at it but don't really know anything else in terms of like actual what data there is out there. So it'd be great to chat about like where and how that data gets used and what I guess because it's cool, it looks cool, it feels cool, and I my instinct is that it will be useful. But what do you wish you could know without having to type or search? You know, what do you wish you could see if you're out in the field, thinking about it now, or in did you say Antarctica?
Yeah, Antarctica. Yeah, I just got back from a voyage to Antarctica in February. Just got back right when COVID was coming on. It was, yeah, that was something. But yeah, look, for me, what I would love is, and what I'm trying to build through Analogs as well to my company, is a way to create a platform so that I can tie in a whole bunch of different sensors and devices into environmental data. So if I'm going way out to Gramland in the middle of nowhere, being able to actually take the intelligence that I get from Elisa's constellation, coupled with the sensors on my phone, coupled with the 3D either LiDAR or visual spectrum data that I've collected for you, Sam, be able to integrate all that together into something that, if I go back time after time, I can create higher fidelity understanding of that particular site. So it can be everything from temperature and pH and salinity that I can plug into my phone, either wired or USB, or geotagging, geolocation, photos, just using my smartphone for collecting that other information, or if I'm out in a radioactive region, using a Geiger counter and collecting that data either in real time or later recording it and tagging it to that as metadata. So creating a data-rich environment that is still usable and understandable through the visual medium that you're creating, or even audio if that's more effective. Keeping that connected to location and creating that virtuality is really exciting, actually. It's really exciting because that's a new generation of exploratory research, really.
So the way that I would go, if I was to say be tackling something like that, is Mapbox, basically, or something like Mapbox, some sort of open source map layer that does allow for like relatively like choose your own adventure Lego block style adding of data sets, associating data sets with maps. I think I might have an account. And then what that will allow you to do is have something like AWS, some sort of like data, like however you hosted your data, and then associate it with GPS coordinates basically, and have those data sets as you add them through some sort of like WordPressy backend or like little app, like any type of Facebook, but just for crazy Antarctica biology data sort of thing. Where you've obviously like, alright, these are the 15 data sets that we've got scoped out, and I'm like, alright, add LiDAR, add whatever, or if it's fed in, and then you. Let me see if I've got an account. Is that no one steal my identity, please. I'm gonna guess. No, I'm sure their marketing materials is fine. But basically, you can sort of create these like data layers and associate them with some sort of map service. Mapbox isn't the only one. And then that means that it's kind of like device and visualization agnostic, so you can go back to the office and look at the map as you would on 2D and look at those kind of things. But then some sort of AR visualization thing could then use the GPS coordinate to place that data as well. So it's all, the only thing is, and this is the reality of it, is that it's nice to imagine that you would have your AR, in 5 years, 10 years, you'll have a pretty hardy AR headset where you can just be wearing it while you're walking and seeing that data and using gestures to add to it. In the interim, it's hard to imagine you pulling your mobile phone out. But I guess you're already using it if you're taking photos on the field and things like that. Are you using something like a consumer mobile phone device with a GPS coordinate in like somewhere like Antarctica, or is this sort of like...
Yeah. Well, I've got my Bad Elf Pro, which I can connect through Bluetooth to give me real-time GPS location.
Well, that's cool. And that connects to your mobile phone. So you're using your mobile, it knows where it is.
Any device. So I use it for my iPad, for my Navionics, as well as once I'm on land to navigate.
That's super cool. So to be honest,
yes, $200 on Amazon.
All the pieces of the puzzle exist to do that. Essentially, you know what you need. Where the kind of thought work would be is like, okay, well, what? So say for example, if it was just audio and photo notes, it would be relatively easy to create an app that you could upload audio and photo notes, and they would go to Amazon to get stored, but with an associated GPS coordinate that is accessible via that map, and then you've just got those notes and maps. I lost it. That's okay. Just as points on this map that you've got a back end for, and that's awesome by itself, I imagine. And then, okay, now you want to add a different data type like trails, or that you still can add through the mobile phone, and then you can visualize it all through the mobile phone, and eventually that data set would sort of be future-proof because it's not like based on the app, it's based on one of these sort of open source map platforms. I'm a massive fan of Mapbox. They came out of this like the open maps data movement. They were like the kings and queens of the mapathon, map hackathon scene in Seattle back in the day, and so they're pretty legitimate. They've done really well now, but and so that's the thing. It's a digital twin. You imagine it as the fancy, not you specifically, but the Minority Report, yada yada yada. But it's all like at this scale, it's all just GPS coordinates, and then how you can visualize those GPS coordinates. I feel like Alyssa would probably have a thought or two on how to store a map. What's your like align data with the real world solution, Alyssa?
Yeah, I mean, this is really interesting. So a lot of our data ends up in interesting places, everything from maps, but sometimes we just end up as a data stream in a database for other people to consume and do further analytics with as well. So it's really interesting. We get a wide variety of ways that people want to interact with our solutions. And so maps, I mean, we're a fan of open source as well. So love the, everything from just being able to, we tend not to actually even host web maps that frequently. We use them as our own sort of little demo tool, but ultimately a lot of our clients have their own enterprise systems that they've got their own big big spatial systems and portals, and some of them have, you know, dashboards and BI, big enterprise systems as well. So we tend to integrate directly in with their existing software. I think, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to listening to who wants to use your information and how and what they already have, and also hearing from them as to what that UI should look like and feel like for them. But yeah, there's a multitude of base map products. There's direct database map feeds from satellites that, you know, can update as soon as the satellite goes over. It automatically updates that base map. There's ones from directly from the satellite companies themselves, such as Airbus and also Maxar Technologies. I know have them. Planet has them. So there's a lot of companies that have direct feeds straight into base maps that you can interact with, as well as your map box and the like. So I think it's really about investigating the pros and cons of each of those, and seeing which ones float to make a lot of sense and float to the top for you. And ultimately thinking about your users and what's going to be ease of access, particularly you know, if a lot of your users are going to be in remote locations, there's a huge need to think about that connectivity piece and sort of offline access and what's actually even viable as far as updating the feeds and that sort of thing. So remote connectivity is a huge challenge for, you know, large data sets and getting updating feeds and linkages with IoT and the rest of it. So lots to think about, and which is really exciting too.
Sorry to interject, guys. I just need to go. I've got another meeting. Thank you for organising, Troy. It's been super interesting listening to you all. And I might see you next week if anyone else is coming along. Catch up.
Thank you very much, Henry. It's great to have a chat, and thanks for coming. And looking forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks,
cool.
Mate.
Thanks, Troy. See you later.
Bye bye. Well, guys, I'll tell you what. I might. You guys feel free to stay if you want to keep chatting, because that's the whole point of this. I might wrap up the official part now if you want to. Alyssa, is there someone off screen? I can see you're on the focus, and I can see your eyeballs darting. Is it a pet? Okay, all right. I was gonna say, if it's a dog, I'd love to see it. I'm dying to see someone's pets. No, thank you so much for joining me on this. It's been really fantastic, and thanks for bearing with me with the technical difficulties and things. It was really great, as always, to have a discussion with you guys that are here. It'll get better every week, so please do spread the word. And feel free, if you didn't already, on the Eventbrite page, there's a guest list. Please fill it out. If you haven't met people before that are in here, reach out to them, have a chat. The whole idea about this is to build a bit of a community and to talk about this, things like we've just been discussing, these adjacent cross-pollinizations of ideas and things. So let's keep doing it. Thank you very much. And I'll talk to you all soon. And I'll see you next week for Space Medicine and Bioastronautics.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Troy.
Great work as always, Troy.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
That was a fun little interlude. See if we can get something done. So, alright. have to unwrap these UVs, which might be a bit challenging. These probably should have come out as separate UVs, but that's okay. So why don't we do like Dirk does? Get some tunes going. First step, okay. So I'm just going to put a random sci-fi audiobook on.
All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain.
Hey.
For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Danger in Deep Space by Kerry Rockwell. Narrated by Sam Holloway.
Stand by to reduce thrust on main drive rockets.
The tall, broad-shouldered officer in the uniform of the Solar Guard snapped out the order as he watched the telescanner screen and saw the western hemisphere of Earth looming larger and larger.
Aye, aye, Captain Strong,
replied a handsome, curly-haired space cadet. He turned to the ship's intercom and spoke quickly into the microphone.
Control deck to power deck. Check in.
Power deck aye.
A bull-throated voice bellowed over the loudspeaker.
Stand by rockets, Astro. We're coming in for a landing.
Standing by.
The Solar Guard officer turned away from the telescanner and glanced quickly over the illuminated banks of indicators on the control panel.
Is our orbit to Space Academy clear?
He asked the cadet.
Have we been assigned a landing ramp?
I'll check topside, sir.
Answered the cadet, turning back to the intercom.
Control deck to radar deck. Check in.
Radar bridge aye, drawled a lazy voice over the speaker.
Are we cleared for landing, Roger?
Everything clear as glass ahead, Tom.
Was the calm reply.
We're steady on orbit and we touch down on ramp 7. Then...
The voice began to quiver with excitement.
3 weeks liberty coming up.
The rumbling voice of the power deck cadet suddenly broke in over the intercom.
Lay off that space gas, Manning. Just see that this spacecraft gets on ground in one piece, then you can dream about your leave.
Plug your jets, you big Venusian ape man.
Was the reply.
I'll turn you inside out.
Yeah? You're what fleet of spaceships?
Just me, Buster, with my bare hands.
The Solar Guard officer on the control deck smiled at the young cadet beside him as the good-natured argument crackled over the intercom speaker overhead.
Looks like those two will never stop battling, Corbett.
He commented dryly.
Guess they'll never learn, sir.
Sighed the cadet.
That's all right. It's when they stop battling that I'll start getting worried.
Answered the officer. He turned back to the controls.
100,000 feet from Earth's surface. Begin landing procedure.
As Cadet Tom Corbett snapped orders into the intercom and his unit mates responded by smooth, coordinated action, the giant rocket cruiser Polaris slowly arched through Earth's atmosphere, first nosing to lose speed, and then settling tail first towards its destination, the spaceport at Space Academy USA. Far below, on the grounds of the Academy, cadets wearing the green uniforms of first-year Earthworms and the blue of upperclassmen stopped all activity as they heard the blasting of the braking rockets high in the heavens. They stared enviously into the sky, watching the smooth, steel-hulled spaceship drop towards the concrete ramp area of the spaceport, 3 miles away. In his office at the top of the gleaming Tower of Galileo, Commander Walters, Commandant of the Space Academy, paused for a moment from his duties and turned from his desk to watch the touchdown of the great spaceship. And on the grassy quadrangle, Warrant Officer Mike McKenney, short and stubby in his scarlet uniform of the enlisted Solar Guard, stopped his frustrating task of drilling newly arrived cadets to watch the mighty ship come to Earth. Young and old, the feeling of belonging to the great fleet that patrolled the space lanes across the millions of miles of the solar system was something that never died in a true spaceman. The green-clad cadets dreamed of the future when they would feel the bucking rockets in their backs, and the older men smiled faintly as memories of their own first spaceflight came to mind. Aboard the Polaris, the young cadet crew worked swiftly and smoothly to bring their ship to a safe landing. There was Tom Corbett, an average young man in this age of science, who had been selected as the control deck and command cadet of the Polaris unit after rigid examinations and tests. Topside, on the radar bridge, was Roger Manning, cocky and brash, but a specialist in radar and communications. Below, on the power deck, was Astra, a colonial from Venus, who had been accused of cutting his teeth on an atomic rocket motor, so great was his skill with the mighty thrust buckets, as he lovingly called the atomic rockets. Now returning from a routine training flight that has taken them to the moons of Jupiter, the 3 cadets, Corbett, Manning and Astro, and their unit skipper, Captain Steve Strong, completed the delicate task of setting the great ship down on the Academy spaceport.
Closing in fast, sir.
Announced Tom, his attention focused on the meters and dials in front of him.
500 feet to touchdown.
Full braking thrust.
Snapped Strong crisply. Deep inside the Polaris, braking rockets roared with unceasing power, and the mighty spaceship eased itself to the concrete surface of the Academy spaceport.
Touchdown!
Yelled Tom. He quickly closed the master control lever, cutting all power, and sudden silence filled the ship. He stood up and faced Strong, saluting smartly.
Rocket Cruiser Polaris completes mission
He glanced at the astral chronometer on the panel board.
at 15:33, sir.
Very well, Corbett.
Replied Strong, returning the salute.
Check the Polaris from radar mast to exhaust ports right away.
Yes, sir.
Was Tom's automatic answer. And then he caught himself.
But I thought...
Strong interrupted him with a wave of his hand.
I know, Corbett. You thought the Polaris would be pulled in for a general overhaul, and you three would get liberty.
Yes, sir.
Replied Tom.
I'm not sure you won't get it,
Said Strong.
but I received a message last night from Commander Waters. I think the Polaris unit might have another assignment coming up.
By the rings of Saturn.
Drawled Roger from the open hatch to the radar bridge.
You might know the old man would have another mission for us. We haven't had a liberty since we were earthworms.
I'm sorry, Manning.
Said Strong.
But you know, if I had my way, you'd certainly get the liberty. If anyone deserves it, you three do.
By this time, Astro had joined the group on the control deck.
But, sir,
Ventured Tom.
we've all made plans. I mean, well, my folks are expecting me.
Us, you mean?
Interrupted Roger.
Astro and I are your guests, remember?
Sure, I remember.
This is like Space Harry Potter.
He turned back to Captain Strong.
We'd appreciate it if you could do something for us, sir. I mean, well, have another unit assigned.
Strong stepped forward and put his arms around the shoulders of Tom and Roger and faced Astro.
I'm afraid you three made a big mistake in becoming the best unit in the Academy. Now, every time there's an important assignment to be handed out, the name of the Polaris unit sticks out like a hot rocket.
Some consolation.
Said Roger dourly. Strong smiled.
All right, check this wagon and then report to me in my quarters in the morning. You'll have tonight off at least. Unit dismissed.
The three cadets snapped their backs straight, stood rigid, and saluted as their superior officers moved towards the hatch. His foot on the ladder, he turned and faced them again.
It's been a fine mission. I wanted to compliment you on the way you've handled yourselves these past few months. You boys are real spacemen.
He saluted and disappeared down the ladder leading to the exit port.
And that,
Said Roger, turning to his unit mates.
is known as the Royal Come-On for a dirty detail.
Now, stop your gassing, Manning.
Growled Astro.
Just be sure your radar bridge is okay. If we do have to blast out of here in a hurry, I want to get where we're supposed to be going.
You just worry about the power deck, Spaceboy, and let little Roger take care of his own department.
Replied Roger. Astro eyed him speculatively.
You know the only reason they allowed this space creep in the Academy, Tom?
Asked Astro.
No, why?
Asked Tom, playing along with the game.
Because they knew any time the Polaris ran out of reactant fuel, we could just stick Manning in the rocket tubes and have him blow out some of his special brand of space gas.
Listen, you Venusian throwback, one more word out of you.
All right, you two.
Broke in Tom good-naturedly.
Enough's enough. Come on, we've got just enough time to run up to the mess hall and grab a good meal before we check the ship.
That's for me.
Said Astro.
I've been eating those concentrates along my stomach things I've turned into a test tube.
Astro referred to the food taken along on space stations. It was dehydrated and packed in plastic containers to save weight and space. The concentrates never made a satisfactory meal, even though they supplied everything necessary for a healthful diet. A few moments later, the three members of the Polaris stood on the main slide walk, an
Can't do it.
of plastic powered by giant subsurface rollers, being carried from the spaceport.
Searching for music for your next video? Then you need to check out our...
Okay, Okay, so just trying to puzzle my way through this. How we can sort of unwrap this like a present almost. Just like cut the bottom. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe we don't even need to do it like that. Then again, no one's going to see the bottom, so let's not go overboard. But yeah, don't we need to do the edges? Select edge loops in Blender. Just trying to think he could. Let's have a squid CV mark scene in case we get all of them. Yes, yes. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Get it done. See all this preparation you could definitely do in VR.
Hey, this is Tash Sultana. Just a reminder, please stay home to help stop the spread of coronavirus. I know it's hard, but we gotta do it.
The most common reaction to a Birch arrangement is, I didn't know flowers could look like this. I'm Brittany Ash. I'm a floral artist and the founder and director of Birch. I use Squarespace as a tool to express what my business is to those who don't get to experience it in person. Squarespace, in a lot of ways, made me an actual business. I think it's the first thing that people look at. Without that platform, it doesn't really seem that legitimate.
This was just part of an experiment. Put some pictures up online, got some good feedback, and decided there was something in it. I'm Robin Grasby, founder of Alt Rock. We make bespoke custom terrazzo in London, UK. What really makes it something real is the brand. At the start of it, the website is the brand. So finding a platform like Squarespace to produce something very professional looking is really important.
Choose Artlist today and get the best music for your videos. You're an indie filmmaker. Searching for music for your next video? Then you need to check out Artlist. With amazing
I gotta get Artlist.
Feels wildly inappropriate for what I'm doing. this not select? Or am I missing something here? What's going on? Oh, here we go. It's just a lot of them. Alright, let's just mark that same. Let's just hope that it's getting marked.